Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast through until Sunday. And we kick off with the satellite map. For some reason, wasn't animating today, but we do have the lightning, which is animating. You can see the cold front moving along the southern coastline of Western Australia, heading into South Australia as we go through today. The low is spiralling right here over the Great Australian Bight, and you've got a cold front ahead of all of it, but the main cold air is behind all of this system. That's where we're seeing those heavy thundery falls. And as this all moves eastwards, we're going to see the wind crank up and then that very cold wintry change coming through into the southeast. Elsewhere, not a lot happening. And as you're going to see, high pressure comes in behind this next cold front. So here is the situation as we go through today. Low pressure south of Adelaide. That is the main feature as it tracks along eastwards towards Tassie and parts of Victoria. It's going to drive in some windy weather. You can already see it here on the wind map. So where you see the brighter shading, mostly out at sea, that's the strong wind area where you might be seeing gales, potentially even severe gale, 90 kilometres an hour and above. So that is moving through, mostly through South Australia and the very southern coastline of Western Australia, and those northwesterly winds and northerlies are going to pick up around Victoria, Tasmania, and some parts of New South Wales and the A.C.T. as this all moves eastwards. To the top, not a lot happening wind-wise, a very light easterly carries on. So here is the setup for this afternoon. So look, we've got this cold change moving along. See the blue line? That measures polar air that's south of it. So you're certainly going to feel the temperature drop. But if you're in Adelaide, it may take a little later into the day in other parts of South Australia towards the Victoria borderline for that to move on through. You can see the windy nor'westers, they pick up right across Victoria today, some parts of New South Wales as well, and certainly Tasmania caught inside that windy nor'wester. So here's the wind map. This is for 1 o'clock Tuesday Eastern time. The areas in purple, that's on the scale here of 90 kilometres an hour over 100 k's an hour. So most of those damaging winds, you do see a little more of them inland around the hills and ranges of South Australia, but really a lot of it is coastal, brushing the coastal parts of Victoria and South Australia, Kangaroo Island, areas like that, Port Lincoln even further over, getting some of those strong winds. But it's down here near Mount Gambier and coming into Victoria where those coastal winds may reach that severe gale category as it pushes through Bass Strait, and then again through the mountains, going right up close to Canberra. Here is that same map. This is Tuesday into the afternoon. You can see the polar blue line coming in to a large portion of the populated part of South Australia, including Adelaide. Your temperatures tomorrow well down on where they are today. And those windy westerlies push through into Victoria. Some rain builds up along the western side of the mountains and the ranges, so you'll start to get that rain. And it goes right up into New South Wales as well, including the A.C.T. Tasmania, also seeing rain in northern and western areas. And look at the rain band here coming into South Australia. You're talking about 20-30 millimetres in the gold yellow shading, maybe even higher for parts of Victoria. So very good if you do need some rain, but keep in mind wintry weather for the eastern side of South Australia and all of Victoria as we go across Tuesday, and all of Tasmania as well, which means some of that rain will fall as snow higher up into the mountains, ranges and the plateaus. Going into Wednesday, we've still got the polar blue line here coming through the southeast corner, still raining in Victoria, still raining in Tasmania, wintry southerly coming through for Tassie on Wednesday. Your temperatures still very down. Temperatures down in Sydney and Canberra and everyone else that you see on the map here south of the blue line as we go through Wednesday. But behind it all, you got high pressure now starting to expand across Western Australia and pushing into South Australia. That encourages that wintry southerly with showers to carry on across a large portion of South Australia's populated areas. If you're in an area that's remote further to the north, not as much wet weather. So most of that wet weather in the coastal areas and the more populated zones here coming into the Victoria border. And once more that heavy rain on the western side of the hills and ranges. Elsewhere, very little to talk about. We do see a couple of showers around the far north Queensland and a easterly breeze blowing through. It is worth noting we've got frosty weather coming through to Alice Springs and some parts of the Northern Territory over the coming week because of that southerly flow that then gets locked in by the high pressure behind it. So frosty conditions, not if it's too windy though. Take an eye at your long range forecast. It may not be until the weekend that you start to see those below zero temperatures. And colder airflows coming through into Queensland as well. Places like Toowoomba, if you're inland and higher elevation, anywhere through Queensland and New South Wales, you're going to feel those temperatures down as that southerly carries on. The worst of the cold now out at sea in the Tasman, but you've still got the high pressure that kind of locks in the cold once it is all passed. So yes, we do see a few showers in the blue here, not a lot going on, and a few showers in the southwest corner. By the end of the week, easterly winds are pretty dominant across Australia. That will help lift up the temperatures for some of you. We do have coastal showers, New South Wales, some parts of Queensland, not many, and around South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, just a few coastal showers. Nothing too much in there, nothing in the way of thunderstorms, just light winds for these areas to the south and the southeast, although a bit of a westerly still clipping Tasmania. So going into the weekend, yeah, not a lot to talk about. You got these easterly winds blowing through, but those easterlies kind of ease as you go into that high pressure further southwards, and that means colder weather at night, definitely more likely. That's why there is that frost risk coming through for inland parts of Australia. Bit of a northerly wind coming into the southern part of Western Australia by the time we get to Saturday, but the high pressure zone is the main feature, calming things down, clearing the skies up. Some coastal showers remain, and easterly showers carry on for Queensland and parts of New South Wales, mostly north of Sydney. And that stays the same way on Sunday as the high comes right over the top of Canberra and the A.C.T. That's where the centre of it will be. Then it pushes out to sea in New South Wales. So north of that centre, you've got showers and easterly winds. That's what you're seeing off the Coral Sea and the northern Tasman. A few showers, maybe a little heavy between Brisbane and Grafton, Brisbane and just south of Port Macquarie, otherwise not much happening there. And over here in Western Australia, in the southwest, in comes the next cold front, the next burst of showers, but most other places are drying out. So yeah, it's a forecast that's got something kind of big in it, but for many of you around Australia, not necessarily a huge amount happening. Rainfall totals here, so south of Canberra, south of the A.C.T, going directly down into Victoria, that's the line with the heaviest rain, maybe 60 millimetres coming through for you over the next week. That will feed some of the waterways around you. A good bit of rain coming through into these dry parts of South Australia as well, but look, huge parts of Australia have no rain at all, and if you're in some of the big cities along the eastern side here, even right up to Brisbane, rainfall totals are not that big, unless you get one of those heavy downpours, otherwise not a huge amount. That's all from me for today. We'll be back again on Thursday. We'll see you again for our next Australia-only update and your 7-day rainfall outlook. Have a great week ahead.